Mayor Giuliani, thank you very much
Thank you, Cordelia,
for speaking to Sky News. What's the president's mood right now? Are you on a victory lap, or
No,
is this another round of battle?
Well, I think, first of all, there is a degree of satisfaction that he's been vindicated on the thing that started all this. I mean, you talk about other things, but this all began as an allegation that the President of the United States was conspiring with the Russians to interfere in the 2016 election. I knew that was false. He knew it was false. I believe it's a political creation, a frame-up that was created by people to try to get him out of office.
But there are reports, aren't there, as you know, that Robert Mueller's team are not satisfied with the way that the Attorney General concluded, and that the issue is around obstruction of justice, and they believe that their conclusion was a lot more damaging. Do you accept that that could be the case?
I accept that there are a bunch of unethical, slimy prosecutors who are part of the Hillary Clinton love machine and the hate Donald Trump machine. Imagine leaking something like that if you're a prosecutor. Imagine how unethical you are. You're supposed to not leak when you're a prosecutor.
But on the one hand, you are denigrating Robert Mueller's team, but you're also applauding their conclusions. So which is it?
Well, I'll tell you. Isn't it better when you're cleared and more effective if you're cleared by a group of people who hate you? Even they couldn't find or manufacture evidence against him. Boy, they tried. This wasn't a group of people that were pro-Trump. It wasn't a group of people that were neutral. These are people who politically hate Donald Trump. Just read Peter Strzok's emails.
Does Robert Mueller hate Donald Trump?
I don't know about Robert Mueller, but he sure picked a heck of biased people. I mean, they didn't have an open mind about Donald Trump, yet they couldn't find a stitch of evidence of collusion. And they can't point to one fact about obstruction. Instead, they say, oh, it was far more damaging. Okay, if you're a good reporter, first question I'd be asked, because I'm not given the protection Democrats are given, first question I'd be asked if I said that is, give me an example. I'm not going to listen to that garbage. Give me an example of what's more damaging in that report that Barr covered up. No examples.
Let's talk about Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former lawyer. He now says that he has 14 million files that could prove conspiracy to collude with Russia.
No,
are you worried he might have something damaging?
No, I'm not worried about kind of like the biggest liar that we've seen in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, actually what Congress should be doing, if they are honest, is be recommending him for perjury prosecution. He went before Chairman Cummings. Chairman Cummings looked at him and said, if you lied many, many times. If you lie now after you cooperated, I'm going to throw the book at you. Well, then he said, under oath, I never asked for a job. There are at least 20 people that could be produced where he asked for a job in the Trump administration, including yours truly.
Why is it that the president has had such close relationships with these kinds of people? You look at Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, 2 men sentenced. Is he just a bad judge of character?
No, he's a very good judge of character. He has very, very good people working for him, really honorable, terrific people. Look at his cabinet. Look at the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense.
He's had a lot of people leave him as well.
Well, so does every president. So does every president. It's impossible in the high-level business world or in politics that you don't have some people that disappoint you. I had it happen to me when I was mayor. And I can tell you, I never did anything dishonest. I was entirely ethical, and I wanted an honest administration.
One of the things to have emerged during this Russia investigation is the hush payments made by the president to the former porn star Stormy Daniels. Does he regret those payments now?
I don't know if that's relevant if he regrets them or not. Those are very normal things that are done in settling cases. I mean, you use the word hush payment, settlement. You're settling a case with a non-disclosure agreement. And corporations and people do it all the time, even for cases where they're false claims. Sounds difficult for people to understand, but as the mayor, I had to do that for the city.
So he'd do it again if he had to?
Well, I don't know if he'd do it again or not, but the person is making an allegation that's untrue, that will have a significant effect on your family, your wife, that you were involved in some kind of an affair with her. And you pay her, you pay her to drop the case or not bring the case. And then you sign a non-disclosure agreement. And the amount of money tells me they were false claims. because I've settled those cases or seen them settled for millions and millions of dollars. Just take a look in the newspapers and look up some of these scandals.
What have your recent conversations been like with the president?
Well, there's no doubt the day after, we went to see him the night that the report was released. And he brought all the lawyers over, and he took pictures with every single one, including some of the younger ones that wouldn't get a chance to really interact with the president. And then the next day, he asked Jay and I to go over for lunch. And he said, you know, I didn't realize it, but I feel like there's been a burden lifted from my shoulder. And I kind of knew what he meant. I mean, it's a terrible burden, whether you're the president or just an ordinary human being, whoever you are, to be suspected of and investigated for something you didn't do. And the frustration is tremendous. Like, I didn't do it. But they're making that up. I didn't do that. I didn't collude with Russians, whatever it means. I don't know Russians. I didn't talk to any Russians. You were with me, Rudy. You were with me for 4 months. Did I ever talk to a Russian? No, you never talked to a Russian.
He felt a bit powerless. He
felt maybe for the first time in his life like he was a victim, you know, and also realizing the thing that hurt him the most were all the people that they brought into the investigation. People who they made bankrupt. And
let's talk about Joe Biden. He's been accused of inappropriately touching a number of women. The president this week tweeted a video mocking him. Do you think that's appropriate from a man who himself has been accused of sexual misconduct by a number of women?
I thought that was a joke. I mean, I don't know, maybe, you know, there are no jokes anymore.
Look, is it risky business, though, from Donald Trump? And rich, some people would say.
Well, I think the whole thing with Biden is a Democrat Party issue. It's not for us. I can't make out what this is all about. I see he did that a lot. On the other hand, everything I've probably seen men in good faith. I mean, I come from an Italian family. They hug all the time. So it's not, I'm not unused to men hugging each other, man hugging a woman. Some of them were offended by it, but none of them thought it was sexual.
You're his legal defense, the face of his legal defense. What is his weakness? What's his greatest weakness? Because we all have them.
He's probably sometimes too reluctant to fire people, believe it or not. He's a much kind. He's never given the benefit of this, and maybe because he's not a politician, he doesn't show it as much as some politicians. He's actually a very kind man. I mean, he probably keeps some people around that he shouldn't because he feels sorry for them. I have people that say to me, "Oh, he's not going to run for re-election because he doesn't like the job." They don't know him. He loves the job. He loves being president. He's getting better and better at it, and he accomplished a great deal under the terrible burden of this investigation. I mean, other presidents have been crushed by things like this, become very depressed, become very, very sullen. If anything, it kind of spurred them to maybe even do better.